Hello, my name is Walter Chavez, and I want to welcome you to this e-training session which I've titled How to Install a Wireless Network. I am a current student at UNT's Information School. This e-training session is being prepared for LTEC Class 4121, Section 020. First of all, I want to thank you for choosing this e-training video. I know there's a lot of options out there in the internet that you can watch and enhance your training. But for this specific e-training session, my goal is for you to enhance and be able to be more desirable in the IT field by knowing how to install a wireless networks. I have been in the IT business for many years, and also I have worked in business in general, from bookkeeping to controller to just being a general business manager. But I've always had the passion to work in the IT. Ever since computers became a mainstream, ever since computer became a system that is used throughout the whole world and through business, I have been on the bandwagon. I have loved to learn new technology. I have taken classes. So I want to tell you that spending your time with me, it's going to be worth your time. I want your new skills to be valuable wherever you work, even to do self-contracting work in small businesses to make more income. I want you to be engaged, but above all, I want to be efficient in the way that I am going to teach this e-training session. So come join me. Take your time, get a notepad, pencil so you can write down. I will leave some contact information where you can contact me directly via email, and we can be able to communicate back and forth. So sit back, relax, take all the appropriate necessary steps for you to be engaged, for you to be involved with me, and hopefully we will, by the end of the video, we will have a great experience and you will learn a lot of new skills that will be very helpful for you. So thank you again for choosing this e-training session. Thank you for taking the time, and let's get going on it. Again, I want to thank you for choosing this e-training session on how to install a wired and wireless network. Again, this is Walter Chavez, and let's continue now and let's view the overview. I want to start the overview by analyzing this flow chart. I want a smooth transition in this training session. I want it to be as clear as possible. I want it to flow as efficient as possible. So if you analyze this flow chart, it's for you to see how we want to start and how we want to end it. Now let's look at our training objectives. Our first objective, or the first module, it's on the benefits of a wired and wireless network. I want to be extensive on this module as for you to understand from the very get-go, from the very beginning, and what it is, the benefits that you will acquire by going through all the work, by going through all the parts of installation, so you can maximize the benefits. The second module, we will touch bases on the overview of the components that are needed for installation. Then we will move to the third module, which is the building portion of the network. We will talk obviously on the wire portion and on the wireless portion of the installation. Then we're going to jump into the using of the wired and the wireless network. And the last module that I want to cover on this e-training session is basic troubleshooting and technical support. And obviously we will leave a contact information for you to reach out in case something wasn't too clear or a further explanation is needed on any part of this e-training session. Let's start with Module 1. I want to talk and I want to outline the benefits of the wire and the wireless network. I put versus because there's a bit of difference between both of them. But let's start with the wire network. A wire network is when there's an Ethernet cable connected from each port linking one device to another. The cable is the factor that connects it. So therefore, establishing a network connection, even where there are multiple devices in different areas of the properties, a cable connects to each component separately. Again, the cable, that's why we call it a wire network, because everything is through wires. And it's very important when we get to installing the wired network part on the next module, well, 2 modules from now, we'll talk a little bit more extensive of what it is on the cabling, the Cat6 cable. Let's look at the benefits of a wire network, and they're pretty good. I think a wire network works great for some, but for others, it's not very desirable just for the fact because of the wire. It provides a greater speed and efficiency. It's much faster to use a wire network because it's linked from wire to wire. It offers greater security level as the data is transmitted directly to hardwire connection. It's harder for hackers to hack into a wire network. The structure of the network cable enables devices to connect together and allows people to utilize technological developments in the future. It's a great way to go for business. This is a much more desirable way of using a network to access each computer and to be able to even share data. The last benefit that we see from a wire network is that it's greater capacity when it comes to transmitting data. Higher speed connections ensure downloads and updates are quick and easy while still maintaining quality and reliability. That's a great component of the wire network. But there are also some downsides to the wire network, and let's look at them. The first one is PCs will only work where there's a data port to connect to, which is a massive mobility restriction in comparison to the wireless network. But we will touch bases on that one. Just imagine from the hub to where the computers are. It could be 100 feet. It could be a long way. So you will need a lot of cabling for that. The mobility factor is restricted. The second disadvantage that I find in a wire network is that running cables throughout existing properties can be a little trickier, especially if the office has more than one level. So for this portion, I will highly recommend that you hire a trained professional. At the long run, it's going to save you time and money. I have installed a few wire networks. The client just wanted a wire, wasn't too interested in the wireless portion. And let me tell you that initially, the very first time I did it, this was the most difficult portion. It was running the cables. Mine were pretty, when I tried it, I would say it wasn't that great. It worked. I mean, it worked, but it wasn't that pleasing, since that's the next portion of the disadvantage of the wire network. Since cable needs to be connected separately to each device, you have to find ways to hide the cable in each instance, and that can be tricky. Personally, I hate seeing cables. Well, that's one of the things that bother me about cables. So you have to think really hard about which preference or which network you would install in your small business, or even at home. This also works for home. Let's move on. Well, now, what is a wireless network? Well, the word says it itself. Wireless networks operate wirelessly. The use of a wireless network, you need a modem, preferably with more than one Ethernet connection is required. One cable runs from the internet access point to the modem. Then a system transmitting radio waves enables components to connect without running a cable between each other. So that is what, in essence, is a wireless network, similar to the wired network, but this is wirelessly. We pretty much avoid all the cabling. What are the benefits? Well, greater mobility. Wireless gives you access wherever a Wi-Fi network is available. And even in today's technology, I mean, the range is getting way better. You can walk away from the Wi-Fi, wherever the Wi-Fi modem is. You can go quite far, or you can extend it. I mean, it's a great system. I think for homes, that's the way to go. For business, I wouldn't. It's useful for some instances, but I think that This is used a lot for homes, and I cannot just say that because almost every business, I mean, here at school, we have a great Wi-Fi, and and they have a great system here at UNT. The other benefit is that it's worry-free from all the hassles of the cables. Again, we touch upon the cables. You don't have to hide them or see where they can be tucked away. I mean, you're wireless. Um, enables wireless devices to connect with each other for printing, scanning, etc. I love the fact that you could just print wirelessly, send the file that you want to print, and boom, there you go. You just go pick up whatever you printed. One other benefit that I see in the wireless side is that it's fairly easy to set up. It's not very difficult since again you don't have cables to connect. So wireless, it's very enticing. It's very useful. It's very easy to set up, and I would highly recommend that whenever you decide to install a network, go ahead and install both of them at the same time. That's why this e-training session is, I want to cover both of it, because it's essentially the wireless part will work with the wire. You'll have a broader range of how you want to use and connect your system for an office. Let's look at some disadvantages. The first one is the greater the distance between the device and all the available Wi-Fi connection can affect wireless performance levels. So again, the distance, but there's ways to get around it. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can go about this to extend the distance. But nevertheless, if a budget is a concern and you want to just connect the direct wireless access point and whatever range it gives, then so be it. But it's one of the disadvantages, the distance where you can access this signal. Here at school, if you walk away from a building, let's say if you're at Willis Library, some of you might know the UNT campus, probably none know it, but once you walk out of the library or wherever there's a really good Wi-Fi signal, it immediately drops and you cannot access anymore. Another disadvantage is that some people complain about wireless randomly disconnecting, failing. And let's say you are doing something important like turning in work or trying to send an important email out, and depending on the distance, you can just get disconnected because the signal is not that strong. And especially if you're transmitting larger files, let's say an email with a few attachments, you can run into some problems with that. There can be a lower data upload and download, that's for sure. Let's say you're downloading a movie. If you're on a wired network, it's going to download fairly quick. But if you're in a wireless network, it can take a long time to download something or upload, for that fact. And the last disadvantage that we can touch on the wireless network is that wireless connections are more prone to being hacked. And this is something that is always in the news, and it's an important thing to point out, that you can get hacked. I have noticed that the newer modems that come out from the providers have a much stronger security functions, and even some of them are not even allowing you to change the password to your Wi-Fi connection. So that is good. It's a very complicated password, but there are good hackers out there, and they are always wanting to steal information, hack into your system. So you got to consider that as a disadvantage of a wireless network, that you are more prone to being hacked, especially if security levels are weak. So we won't cover much on that. I just want to point that out when you're analyzing or we're looking at advantages and disadvantages of both systems, the wired and the wireless network. Something to you to think about, take notes. Again, I would recommend that you use both. Whenever you're going to install one, go ahead and install the other. Don't just pitch the wired portion without pitching the wireless. You're doing the work. You might be hired to do this, so might as well take the time and do them both. Okay, let's jump into Module 2 now. And let's look at the overview of components that you are going to need to successfully complete an installation of the wireless network. Just for reference, we will look at a web page that I want you to look at with me, so you can get an idea of the costs that you are looking at for an installation of the network that you're trying to build, whether it's wired or is wireless. So let's look at the components. And the first thing that you will need, not the first, some of the things that you're going to need is a fast Ethernet or 10 base T cable. Buy a cable for each PC that won't be using wireless. You want Ethernet cable, which resembles phone cable, but with slightly thicker jacks. Ethernet cable is something called Ethernet, RJ45, Cat5, or TPE. The name usually includes a number relating to the cable speed, 10, 100, or 1000. And also there is the newer cable, is Cat6 cable. The good thing that with cables, a lot of new places are being already wired with Cat cables, so that's a plus thing. So it's good for you to ask or to make sure that if it's installed. Again, I would suggest that when you consider cable, you hire a professional. They will take care of everything. They will build it for the length that is needed, etc. You will also need network adapters. Each computer on the network needs its own network adapter, and those gadgets come in many varieties. Most computers come with a built-in network adapter, sparing you the cost. Now, nowadays, you can't live without the internet, so computer providers obviously throw in the cost of the computer. It's already with this adapters, unless you're building your own computers, unless you bought inexpensive computers with the only components that you need. But you can't get away without having a network adapter in a desktop. You will need a router. Many of today's routers come with built-in wireless, and some come in with a built-in broadband modem. Your purchase depends on your internet connection and network adapters. Let me say something about the routers, because if you're only going to run a wire network, then you just need to make sure that you have a connection for every computer that you're going to connect on this network, and so you have to purchase a separate router. But the routers that come from your internet provider have already a connection, so you can just directly wire the computers, peripherals, printers, whatever you need to connect. But it's limited, and the amount of connections are limited, so consider that when you have to purchase a router. Also, you are going to need a wireless router. Now, this is specific just to send a device that broadcasts, the wireless router is a device that broadcasts high-speed internet access wireless through your home or office. So you need to purchase that too, so you can consider. Remember, I suggested to you earlier on when we looked at the prior module that it is important for you to, if you're going to do the work, consider doing wire and wireless network installation. So you would need a wireless router. You need wireless network adapters or cards. Again, these network adapters are already pre-installed on the laptop or the desktop. I will tell you this: if you want wireless connection on your desktop, you can do so by purchasing a wireless network adapter or a card. And you can have best of both worlds. I mean, I don't see much the need for having both. Both of them will do the same thing. If you're wired, you will have an internet connection. If you're wireless, you'll have a wireless access point. But it defeats the purpose, I guess. But it depends on preference. Some people want to have both, and some people just want to have one. You're going to need a cable or a DSL modem. Now that usually comes from your broadband provider. Will provide you with the modem so you can connect to your router. And then you will have the internet access. If you have a wireless router connected, then they will send the signal, and basically that's what you need. Those 6-7 components. Now let's look at something here. I wanted to look at that web page so you can get an idea. And here it is. I went to the Geek Squad. You know that they're a provider of to help you with installation with everything that you need as far as technology, and they have a hub in every Best Buy store. I'm not promoting any stores per se, but I like the way that they put this. Look at the wireless router here. Uh, you can purchase one for approximately $50 to $100 depending on your needs. The wireless network adapters, $40 to $100, and your cable, they do sell them outside because some are better than others. But usually the one that comes from your provider, your internet provider, it usually does the job. But you can purchase one for around $60. And again, you can look at other places. You can order through online whatever all your needs are, and these are the components that you need in order to successfully install your wired wireless network for home or small office. This is module 3. Now we're going to build the wired network. Now again, cables have been installed on all PCs. It is important, again, for you to hire a professional to install the cables, and it will save you time and money. So now that the cables have been ran, they're in a central room. They are all connected to each individual PC, and we will use the router that you see right there. That's a Cisco router, and this is a picture of modems, examples of modems. They come with your internet provider when you service. And now that cable that he is pointing on is the cable that is coming from the modem directly to this desktop computer. This desktop computer has now internet connection. Now the router is important to see that we have several Ethernet connections. This particular router has 4 and the internet. So what we're wanting to accomplish to have the complete built network, wire network, is that we're going to now take the cable that is coming from there. We're going to disconnect it from the computer. Remember, this cable is coming from the modem, and we're going to put it on its port and the internet. Now I've brought the connection of the internet to the router. Now I can connect all my computers to the router so they can all talk to each other, share all the benefits of the connections. We're going to take a separate cable, put it in its appropriate connection. In this case, we put it in a number 3. We can start number 1, 2, 4. It doesn't matter. And we're going to connect it to the desktop computer on the network card. And there you can see we connected, and now this computer will be connected to the other 3 computers that we have an Ethernet connection for. Now again, some routers are going to require for you to install software, and the software is provided by the where you purchase your modem, and it's just as simple to running your CD. You will run it on your computer, go through the setup process, input your account name, your password, and voila, you have successfully built a wired network. Okay, let's move on to the next module, module 4, and I want us to pick up from where we left off. The router that you see there, it's the same router that we use for the wire component of the wired network, and it's a wireless router. It's running on the fastest speed at 802.11n, the newest and the most expensive one. But you have to consider what options you have according to the budget that you have been given to install your wired wireless network. It transmits a wireless signal for your iPad, for your iPhone, and for basically for any wireless needs that you might have, or the company that you're working for might have. Remember, you want the fastest speed because you're going through walls. Sometimes they're concrete. You want the fastest speed, the 802.11n. You can analyze over the internet what the specs are and what is the best option for you to have. Depending on the range, you can use older routers like the 802.11g or the 802.11n. They will both do the job, but the speeds are slower. So I recommend that you highly use 802.11n, and that's the router. Well, that's a Cisco router. It's a very good router for you to use. At Cisco, it's a very firm company that's been in the business for many years. They've pioneered a lot of technology, and 802.11n is the way to go. Consider that fact. That's you're building your wireless network. Basically everything has been run. You're accessing your wireless signal from your laptop. And again, let's talk about encryption. WPA and WPA2 in building your wireless network. That's basically the second step you have to remember. You want to be encrypted with the best encryption possible. I mentioned to you on prior modules that there are hackers out there wanting to steal your identity, wanting to steal your information, and that is in the news nowadays. Very common. So you want to be protected with the best security possible. Having the best password security key is the key for this, and using the WPA settings within your router is the best way to go. I also mentioned to you that some providers where you get your internet connectivity, they sell you or they rent you this routers, wireless routers, and they have put passwords that you cannot change anymore. So, and it's a good thing, a bad thing because you cannot change it, but a good thing because the password is very difficult. It's very important for you to know if in this case you do put your own password, remember it, store it, give it to whoever needs to have it. The good thing about also WAP when you're building your wireless network is that it allows you several options on creating your password. You can use, as you can see there, capital, spaces, lower cases, and other things on your keyboard like the exclamation point, etc. It is very important for you to know that. Notice here at the top is the strongest connection, which is that connection that you see on the video as an illustration. Remember that the wireless router, when you're building your wireless network, is the one that sends out the signal via radio waves. And you want always the best, strongest connection. You see here multiple wireless routers throwing out their radio frequency, and you can capture it with any wireless device. So you always want the best possible connection that you can have. Take that into consideration. The building of the wireless network is not difficult. It's just a few more steps after you do your wired installation, and it will make it so much easier for your wireless needs, and you will for sure make your client a happy client. Okay, let's look at the next module, module 5, and this is the tips and the troubleshooting portion. Right off the bat, I want you to see at the bottom of your, let's see, left-hand side, there is my email. That's the first way to contact me and the best possible way. Shoot me an email and I'll reply to you. And if we need to set up a Skype or any other form of communication, we can do so by starting with the email process. Let's start with the tips. That would be on your left-hand side. The first one says, make sure all your cables were checked at the time of installation. Can't stress this enough. This is the hardest component. Use a professional. It will save you time and money at the long run. The professionals know how to do this. They know how to run the cables. They know how to check them. But make sure that you are aware of what's going on. Don't just rely on them. Obviously, you have to give them instructions as far as where you want all the cables to run, and make sure that everything is done right. They checked every single connection, make sure the cables will talk to each other, but professionals obviously know that. But just make sure you're on top of that. Also, I want you to make sure that you selected the best place to run and connect your equipment. Find an area that it's appropriate. I would say if it could be in the center of where you're connecting a closet somewhere where all your cables are going to come in, where you're going to install your equipment, a place that is accessible for a technician, for yourself, to be able to troubleshoot the equipment or anything else. It's in a central location. I've seen other people, when they run this, they run the cable and they put it in the center of the building and they leave it up in the tiles, so you have to pop your head in the tile and connect it. But I would say if you have a room, a space that you can do this, it's even better. But sometimes you are limited with your options. I understand that you have to go up on the on the ceiling and just put it there, but make sure that someone knows, or you have a diagram as far as where you put all your equipment. Also, I want you to make sure to have a clear diagram of the place of all your components so that you may know where to start and when to finish your installation, and you don't find yourself going around in the office, like a chicken without a head. So it's important. Many times I have found myself that if I don't have a clear diagram, I'm running back and forth, to different equipment. You need to know where your desktop computers are. You need to know your printers, your scanners, whatever you're going to connect to the network, so that way you can spend the time needed in each location, and you don't find yourself, oh, maybe I didn't do it in this PC. You will know exactly, because you have a clear diagram as to where all your equipment is. Now, for the troubleshooting part, if you're having connectivity problems, you're having any issues with the network, the first thing I would suggest is for you to open your diagnostic, right click the network icon notification area, and then click diagnose and repair. Many times that will fix the problems if you're not connecting to the internet, or something's going on with the particular computer. Even in the wireless side, it's important for you to run that diagnostic. That's the first line of defense, I guess. Make sure that all cables are properly connected. It sounds pretty obvious, but it happens. You go, why isn't this computer connecting to the network? Why doesn't it have internet signal? Well, maybe the cable, is not connected right. Make sure it clicks. You hear a clicking sound when you connect it, and you have a good connection at that point. Also, if you're trying to connect to another computer, make sure the computer's on. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but it happens. It happens, and you find yourself, kind of stressed out when you go, oh my God, it wasn't on. So make sure that you're trying to connect to another computer, make sure it's on. And you also make sure you need to enable in each computer the file and printing sharing on your network. For more information, go ahead and you can look up the help tutorials for Windows, or for the device that you're using. If it's a Dell, sometimes they have good help sections for you to be able to know how to do that, and it will help you immensely. And if the problem began after you install the new software, check your connection settings to see if they have been changed. That happens a lot. You install the new software, and that software, when it goes through the installation process, it changes things. So make sure that that software did not, do anything that you did not want it to do, and maybe it needs a certain setting, but it's messing up your network connectivity. So make sure that that did not happen. And one more tip that I didn't note here on the PowerPoint is that make sure that you sometimes, by just turning off the equipment, hold for 5 seconds, turn it completely off, unplug it, turn it in. I would say unplug it from the wall, unplug the power source, leave it sitting for a few seconds, and then start it again. That sometimes will fix your problems, that you can't connect to the internet, or you're having problems. It does amazing things. It's just kind of like resetting your computer when you're having problems. If you restart it, everything refreshes, and there you go. So that's what your troubleshooting section. And again, my email is there. Reach out. I check my emails constantly, so I will get back to you as soon as I can. And that is what I wanted to run by you on the installation of the wired wireless network. Wow, I hope that you enjoyed this e-training session with me. And again, thank you for taking the time. I know it was intense. I know it was involved. I know there was a lot of information, but I will suggest that you go through the e-training session several times to help you. And if ultimately your questions are not answered and something was unclear, that you can contact me and I will be able to give you the answers that you are needing. Thank you for taking the time again for watching this e-training session. I hope that the skills that you now possess will make you more valuable in your job, make you more valuable in the career field that you're working in, and hopefully you are wanting to set off on being your own business owner and installing wireless networks. I know that there's much more to learn. I know there's many other things that we could have covered, but for now, I hope this video was helpful to you and to your future. Again, my name is Walter Chavez. Thank you very much for sharing this time with me.